Hey everybody, welcome to another drive-through rundown. We're going to talk about Star Trek Catan today. This is pretty much exactly like regular Settlers of Catan. There's a very slight rule change with some new cards, but I thought I'd give everybody kind of a quick rundown of all the components and how nice they look. So there's the box cover, you can see that. And then we'll get to the boring stuff first. You've got a sort of a quick rules summary there. And then this typical Catan almanac there with a lot more detail. And then over here we've got the insert, which is actually really nice. Keeps everything in there really tightly and doesn't move stuff around too much. Now to the fun stuff, we've got the board here. So you can see this is sort of a typical Catan board with the hexes. You've got your trading outposts on the corners there. You've got 3 for 1, then 2 for 1. That's a dilithium trading outpost. And then you've got your, well, this one's actually not flipped over. Your number tokens for whatever you're going to roll. It's going to get resources. And you can see instead of the roads, they have these little starships there. And then instead of, the houses and the settlements and the towns, you can see you've got your outposts there, right there. And then when you upgrade an outpost to a starbase or a city, you're going to put these little tops on, and they actually just snap right on there. So you just take your outpost and then snap on the top there. It's actually pretty cool. And the pieces are really nice. The little plastic things are on the nice little plastic stands. You can see that there. And then the resources are going to come from these different colored planets here. And so you've got analogous resources to what you've got in normal Settlers, like the red one and the green one are for roads. And then you've got water there in blue, and then the white one there, those planets provide oxygen. And those will be used in, the cities and stuff. So let's take a look at the trade cards here. So you can see we got food, water, dilithium, tritanium, and oxygen. So you get those just like you do in a normal game of Catan. You get a hand of resources. And we've got our development cards here. And we've got all kinds of different things like this. Ones for victory points, ones with special effects. And you've got these Starfleet Intervene cards, which are like your knights in the regular game. And so you got your, speaking of knights, you got your largest Starfleet card here on the left, and then you've got your longest supply route here, which is sort of like longest road and largest army. Whoever has these takes these and they get 2 points. And then we've got our little summary cards here. And then we've got our 2 dice here. So we've got a red and a blue dice. Hopefully that means there's expansions. And I'll show you another hint to expansions here in a second. And they've also included these nice little scoring dials here. Now you can see they say Federation and Vulcan, and then we've got one here for Klingon, one for Romulan. And there's nothing really sort of thematic or any kind of mechanics tied to whatever race you pick. You just kind of pick one. But you can see everybody starts off with 2 points, and then you go around, and then the first person to get 10 points wins, just like regular Catan. One maybe unfortunate thing is that these other races have numbers that you can't really tell. I mean, you can get the idea, it's not that many numbers, but if you really wanted to quickly see how many points somebody had, you couldn't really tell because there's these weird symbols, but you just know that you start here and then you get there. And then again, it's easy to see how many points you have on the board based on, your outposts and your star bases and things like that. So the new stuff is over here in these cards here. So we've got these cards, and how these actually work is everybody's going to get a card at the beginning of the game. And depending on the turn order, you're going to get one of these A1, 2, 3, or 4 cards, like so. So these are always going to be the starting cards at the start of the game. And you can see they've got a 5 and a 6. So you can tell they're thinking about at least having a 5 and 6 player expansion. So the way these cards work, let's say I have Uhura here. And they do a couple of different things. And I'll explain what a few of these are just so you can get an idea of what options are going to be available to you here. So Uhura has an ability to name a resource and then demand trade from the other players for that resource. And then you have to take that resource for them, they have to reveal it to you, and then you can give them whatever you want in return. So if I use Uhura once, I could take her, use her, and then flip her over to the B side. And then the next time I use her, maybe on a later turn, I could do the same thing. But when I use her at this time, I have to trade her into the supply, and then I'll go and dig out any of these other characters that I want. Now I could have done that on the first use. So if I have her here, use her once, and then I can trade her in. So I've got the choice of keeping her for one extra turn, or using her right away and then trading her in. So what do these guys do here? So we've got Scotty here. He's pretty cool. What he does is he actually lets you build a road or a starship for one other resource. So normally it's a dilithium and a titanium. So in this case, if you use him, you can spend just one of those, and then the other resource can be whatever you want. So I could do like a dilithium and an oxygen, or a tritanium and oxygen. You just need one of the red or green. Again, you use them, flip them over, use them and turn them in. Next we got Spock. Spock's really cool. So you can see if any production roll is not a 7 and you receive no resources, then you can use him and take any resource you want. Everybody loves Spock because you have those turns where you don't get a resource that you want. You can use them, flip them over, and then use them again. Let's see, next we've got Kirk here. I'm not doing these in order per se. Kirk is also a favorite. So when any 7 is rolled, if you have 7 or more resources, you don't lose any resources if you want to activate his ability. So it's kind of protection from the robber. Oh, I forgot the robber. Let's go over here to the Asteroid Belt. Like, how could I have forgotten this? So you can see there's a Klingon bird of prey, and that is the robber there. So just like in the regular game, you roll a 7, you move it over here, let's say, and cover that resource up, and then you can steal from anybody that has an outpost or a starbase connected to there. So that's pretty neat. It's kind of weird though if you're playing in the Klingons as your scoring board, and then you move the Klingon around and it's taking stuff from you. It's also weird that you have, the Enterprise ship for your ship if you're a Romulan or Vulcan or something. So maybe they'll make other ships, for the other races or something with some kind of deluxe edition or some other stuff. It might be kind of fun. It's not that big a deal though. All right, back to the characters. Sorry about that. So we got Spock, we got Kirk, we got Scotty, we talked about Uhura. Let's see, next one is Sulu here. And Sulu, so on your turn, you may remove one of your starships from one of your routes and then basically move it somewhere else. So as long as you don't break up your route, you can kind of readjust your road, so to speak. So that's pretty handy. And then let's see, next we've got Mccoy here. And he has, when buying a development card, you may replace one of the 3 resources with any other resource. So similar to Scotty, but it's when buying development cards. And what else we got here? Here we go, Chekhov. Chekhov's a neat one. So before or after your production roll, you may move the Klingon battlecruiser back to the asteroid field. And then you get a resource of the type where the Klingon battlecruiser was. So let's take a look over here. The Klingon battlecruiser on there, I take and move them back to the asteroid field, and then we get a red resource, tritanium. Pretty cool. And he's actually kind of neat when you play him with a combination of these Starfleet cards here for the largest army. So you play one of these, use them, and then you use Chekhov's ability, and then you get that resource back for yourself. So there's a lot of cool little combos here actually of trading in, getting certain resources, like with Spock, and then being able to use Scotty to get roads, etc. like that. So you can only use these once per turn, but you can kind of plan from turn to turn. It's got these little sort of kind of combo-y, deck building kind of thing going on. Sarek here, I'll just go over the last couple of these. It says, on your turn, discard one of the Starfleet Intervenes cards, and again, these are the largest army cards. I can discard one of those, and either build an outpost for 1 tritanium plus 1 dilithium, or upgrade an outpost for 2 water and plus an oxygen. So you can do that and build those cheaper, the settlements and the city type cards. So you can use that. This one, I haven't actually used this one yet. What is this one? Your production, okay, use once after your production roll's been resolved. You may look at the hand of resource cards of one opponent who has more victory points than you, and then take one of their resource cards. That seems kind of brutal. Didn't use that one in our game the other day. And then this one is really nice too. So this one basically lets you do a border trade without having to have your base at an outpost. So if you're not familiar with Catan here, you can see you have these outposts here. So 2 for 1 on oxygen, and then 3 for 1. Because normally you can trade 4 of any one of these resources for any one other resource. And what this gal has you do is you can have a 2 for 1 trade of the resource of your choice for that turn. Again, you can do that twice. So all these are really strong, and they add a nice flavor. They really make the game kind of enjoyable and fresh. As someone like myself that's played Catan, I can't even tell you how many times I'm so burnt out on it. But this really has kind of breathed new life. I was actually able to play this with my folks actually last night, and my dad is a huge Trekkie, and so he immediately saw the box and he's like, well, what's that game? So he whipped it out and played it, and they enjoyed it. And so I'm actually kind of have my interest peaked a little bit because of some of the extra components here for expansions. Not necessarily the 5 and 6 player expansion, because I don't usually enjoy Catan with more than 3 or 4. But if they were able to take and do the, what's the sea expansion? I'm having a brain fart here. You know, the islands and the seas, and you can build out and do the different scenarios, and you know, you don't just have this solid hex map. I think that might be kind of fun to build in sort of an exploration theme. You know, sort of you got your main galaxy, and then your sort of your other galaxies and these islands in remote parts of the galaxy that you could do. And then again, the cities and knights might be fun, and build a little bit of sort of loose PvP elements. You got some more upgrades, and then you know the barbarians that keep coming. They could be like the Borg come in or something like that. I can see this being really fun. So yeah, I think this is a Target exclusive right now. So we'll see how this goes here, because this might be a nice sort of breakthrough for board gaming. I don't know, you know, I think it's Star Trek, it's Catan, its rules are simple, and I think there is a fair amount of people that at least know about Star Trek in the United States. So we'll see, and I think everything looks really great here. At the end, we're just going to zoom in on these again, because I really like these. Here, let me just show you this. So it might get a little shaky here, but I'm going to pop this top off here. Oh, I knocked it off the stand. That doesn't usually happen. So I'll put that back on there. So you got that, and then I'm going to put that on top, and it's going to pop right on. Oops, trying to do this one-handed without shaking too much. All right, well, there we go. Ta-da! All right, so that is pretty awesome. Okay, thanks.